Alright guys, we got a game with a 7K. This one might be a little tougher than usual, but should be okay. Just fishing for more teaching things. So we're gonna create this, oh, oops. Gotta do this thing. Hope everyone got up in time okay for the daylight savings time today. So we're gonna create this announcement. And yeah, let's get this game going here. Let's get this game going here. 7Q. I actually find it a lot harder to win these games if they just go by like playing like big moves and not actively like invading, because this is fine. Yeah, I just find it a lot harder to win if they like play like big moves instead of actively invade. I'm gonna go ahead and do this because it kind of like solidifies me over here anyways. That's a really bad move. Like don't ever do this move. It gives me either the double Hane up top, or it like this move exchanging for this is always bad. There's not much territory in here anyways, so I don't actually care. Just gonna connect on this one. I don't know why you would do that right now, but okay. I mean, effectively, it does leave me here with Sente. Yes, you can go down here, but you wouldn't do that right now. Just do this. Yeah, forcing him down to the second line is perfectly awesome. Gotta fix the cutting point. Yeah, like the area, the territory down here is a moot point. It's not really a thing. I got what I wanted. Don't do moves like that, guys. There is absolutely nothing down here anymore. Like there's no territory down here. It's not worth a move. It's really not worth a move. I mean, I guess you could attack me up here, but that wouldn't be the move you use to attack me anyways. I'm not really afraid of his attack right now. I am going to just like take these like little advantages right now. I'm going to take these little advantages right now. It's actually pretty important that I do at this point. Okay, it's fine if he wants to answer that. I probably wouldn't at this point, but whatever. Because the only thing I could really do there is clamp. I don't think it's big enough right now. I'm going to connect this because I don't want him invading down here. Well, he's going to anyways, but regardless, I don't... Yeah, see, he's going to do that. But if he actually is willing to give me the entire side, I will gladly take it. Okay, he's willing to give me the entire side, so I will take it. I will happily take this side. I think I'm just going to do this. There is like still invasions down here. Sort of. Maybe. Is there? Maybe. Who knows? There's like random attachment moves that I really hate. Well, that's what there really is right now. He is trying to do that, but like I said, I'm just going to take like advantages like this from now on, because there's actually not a huge amount of territory here. Like I can just clamp both ways, so there's actually not a huge amount of territory like down here. So it's not that big of a deal for me. Like the side I got's like way bigger. I don't know why he's doing that, but I'm gonna do this. This is actually fairly large, and it kind of like brings up my moyo here as well. He's spending way too many moves on that. Something like this is going to be a lot bigger. He's spending way too many moves trying to build this. There's no point in doing that because this is obviously safe. Yeah, so like he's spending way too many moves actually like building this much territory. And I think this pocket is at most like 20 points or so. You see like he's doing that. And while he's doing that, you know, like I can form my own territory that's just as big much more efficiently. Like I'm spending 2 or 3 moves getting the same. He shouldn't have done that. Why would you do that? Why would you ever do that? I mean, I guess he can do this, but I mean, it's Gote, first of all. Yeah, I mean, you can do that, but it's Gote. It's not worth it right now. It's not worth it right now. Because then you give me like a free move like this one. And look, I look at the result. He gets this pocket here, and plus I still have the clamp here, by the ways. And I get this here, which is pretty much just as big. So he basically gave, like, you have to look at this in terms of a trade, right? I got out of this like building oil, I got this whole entire corner and this side, at least most of it. He got this, but I got nearly as much in here, and now I'm just gonna clamp. And then I'm gonna like take all these sentes. So I reduced his I actually reduced his territory by quite a lot. That's, yeah, you should definitely that's a double hane. It's like he doesn't get too many points in here. I can still try to I can actually play the ko here, but I'm not going to because kind of stupid if I do, honestly. But like his moves are way too inefficient, and that's why I'm up by a lot of points right now. Because he didn't get nearly as many points out of his moyo as I did out of my moyo, and I'm just going to kind of like fix this problem here so there isn't like a, so like I can just take away the invasion more or less. Yeah, more or less I can just take away the invasion. There's actually not much point in doing that. I mean, like when you're playing, you have to remember like every move that you make, you are trading for an opponent's move, and your plays have to be worth more than your opponent's plays. If they're not, if your plays are not worth more than your opponent plays, then your opponent's gonna win. So efficiency is the problem here. Also, like he has to fix this, otherwise I have this move. Yeah, I mean he's gonna try to make this territory up here, but it's really not all that big, and he just basically gave me all this territory down here. There's essentially like nothing he's going to be able to do. He can take this stone, by the way, because I don't really care much for this stone. I would just actually let him have it. Guys, please hit the likes and subscribes. You know, do I let him have the stone? Nah, just connect. I have a tiger's mouth down here, so I'm not really afraid of this. But even if he could take that stone, he's taking a lot of like he's taking a huge loss. I mean, I think I really think the lesson for this game is that remembering that you have to you have to remember every move that you make, your opponent gets a move as well. And if your moves aren't more, if your opponent's moves are just a lot more efficient than yours, then you're not going to be able to win the game. And that's basically what happened in this particular game. His moves are not as efficient as mine. So therefore, he's like, I'm going to win by quite a lot. I'm just going to do this. I probably should have done that, but whatever. I mean, he just isn't getting nearly as much out of his moves. And there's still this move down here, by the way. What do I do to answer that? Can come up that way. You know what? Screw it. Yeah. There is no invasion there, so I'm going to do this. Oh, yeah, you can't do that. You have to sacrifice. You have to sacrifice that stone in that case. That's just a small like calculation error or something that he's not familiar with. But that particular kind of shape you can't really do much with. He also can't connect here. It doesn't really matter. I'm just gonna take it. Yes, to connect that. And I'm essentially going to go, see, I could go here, but then I would have to connect. If I go here, I think it's Sente, so I'll go there for the Sente. He does get like one or two more points though if I do this. But it is Sente, and I'd rather have the Sente right now because the Sente is worth more than 1 or 2 points. Actually, I'm not so sure right now. Hard to gauge what's the biggest move right now. It is super hard to gauge what's the biggest move right now. That's not a good move because that doesn't give you any points, and it just gives me Sente again to make more forcing moves. At this point in the game, you want to make as many forcing moves as possible, and if you're already ahead by a lot like I am, you want to you essentially want to make sure to fix all the areas where you could possibly screw up. Essentially, like if you don't screw up at this point and you're ahead, you win. So you want to fix any kind of errors that you see. Something that could result in something really bad happening. Like if he actually connects this, I'm probably going to just like connect this just in case he does this. Atari's here and then does something bad, which he didn't do, but you know, he could. I'm just gonna fix all the errors. Like even like if the game's not close, a lot of times you'll see me fix errors that I don't have to fix. If the game's close, obviously I'm not gonna do that, but you know. The game's not close. I'm gonna do that just to make sure I don't like screw up somewhere and lose, because I've done that plenty of times before. I've done that a lot before. Plenty of times I really just screwed up. So we'll do this. He shouldn't have played that right now. It's not that big. I'm gonna. He's basically letting me get all the Sentes in closing, and by giving me all the Sentes in closing, like you're basically giving me a lot of points too. You're essentially like giving me a lot of points that way. Just gonna do this. There's nothing there. So we're just going to kind of like get these points here. Right now is about just like completing your shape. Right now it is actually just about completing your shape. I'm just going to go ahead and do this just in case. I don't think there's anything there, but just in case. There's one point there that he should go right now. So essentially, like if you look at, oh yeah, there's that. I forgot about that. I'm just going to target here. Then I'm going to connect this. Yeah. I'm going to use this. But if you actually look at what's happened here, it's basically like this territory equals like this territory, and then like my margin of victory is like this territory versus like his couple points here. So that's actually like, that ends up being my margin of victory. And that's useless. That's just me playing more efficient moves. He should have actually invaded down there when it wasn't so solid. That's also not that useful. Like there's plenty of chance to invade down here when I wasn't nearly as strong. It doesn't really even matter which way I block. I think you're just like, I think at this point you're really just fishing for more mistakes, and that's just really not going to happen. So this is kind of like...
You have won.
Yeah. I mean, I'm up by like 70 points, but the thing is like, this is just like playing more efficiently bit by bit. This is just like playing efficiently, like a little bit more efficiently bit by bit. That is actually like the difference between like 7K and 1 Dan. Like I don't really have to fight a lot of the time, all that much. I don't have to kill anything to win. This is all fine. I think this is like the first mistake he makes, because I do think this is the first mistake he makes, because allowing me to pincer over here kind of like fixes my problem here while like playing the Joseki, and he still owes a move over here, by the ways. And you'll see that come into play. That's always a bad move. This is almost, unless you are just begging for eyes, this is always a bad move. Like trading this with this is always bad, because your stone is much weaker than these two, and you solidify me more here as well. You don't get too much in return. And the Hane is all like either this Hane or this Hane is always mine if you do this. This, I probably should have just like come out here or something, but I think like right now you'd probably do this. You have to force me to actually force me to do something here. You can't just give me this nice little thing here. So like when he does this, I probably should just do this or something, because I already got an advantage here. So I think when he does that, I should just do that. But I think I got over greedy here. Like here, you need to do this because you already have a base. I don't really have a base, and you're not really afraid of getting killed here. I mean, you have a base here. Your position's a little better. Your position's going to be better than the 2 stones I have here. So he does that, which I'm not going to answer that because there's not that many points down here anyways. I'm basically just going to get the nice little extension here. That's fine. I'm just going to connect because I don't want any problems. And you can see like the best move here is definitely to come here, because like originally when you kick and then I extend 3, you're supposed to do this anyways. I mean, usually you do this, but generally, like since you have the low position here, the high-low position is slightly better. So you do that, but he does this like this. Yes, I understand that there is this kind of invasion, but you're not really going to do that right now. You really aren't going to do that right now. So this is going to be a lot. This is actually going to be a lot more important here, like going here is going to be a lot more important than going here. So I'm gonna, he does that. Oh, I made a mistake there. I should have just like gone down here immediately. But, you know, he comes up. So obviously I'm not going to fix this right now because that's not really all that useful. I'm going to take the Sente because now, especially since I have this move, I don't really care if he invades down here because right now I will take the outer influence over the points underneath anyways. So this is a good invasion later, but it's not really worth it right now. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to straight out do this. Like, this might have actually been bigger at this point, but, you know, like, he didn't finish this Joseki, so I'm going to do this. He does that. Yeah, this is, like, pretty much mandatory. That move is definitely mandatory to do. I extend out one. You extend out, I do this, you connect, and that's basically how this works. I do get outside influence, but you get, like, quite a bit of, you get like a couple of points down here, and that's how that works. Of course, I spent an extra move, so my outcome is going to be better than yours. But this is an acceptable outcome, minus one move, obviously. This is not good. Because you didn't really need to fix anything in here, and now you're like a little too squeezed together. I'm going to do that. I'm going to go ahead and, this is actually a bad move by me, but I wanted to fix this like little cut thing here. Honestly, I probably would have been better off like either, well, maybe not like that, but like probably fixing like that. I might have been better off because if I do this, like there's still this in the future, so I might just be better off by doing this. Because right now, if I fix this, he doesn't actually have to answer, and he shouldn't answer right now. He can just like go here instead. So answering me is going to be. Answering me is okay, but realistically, like I think it's like better if he just moves out here because I can't really kill him. I mean, if you think about it, like if he goes here, I can't really kill him because this is still open. So, I mean, this is alive. I mean, you don't even have to do anything. Like it's basically alive. So, yeah, there are a couple of corner points, but it's not really that big right now. So I think that was a mistake. He should have just like played out here. I'm going to take this. He does. That's a horrible move because think about it. That's a horrible move because think about it. You have extensions on two sides. There is like no way I can fix that. Let's just say you go here. Just, you know, that's not a bad move, right? Just go, you say, I block here. You can still jump here and I can't really block you. I mean, there's like, since you have both extensions, there are no points down here, essentially. Like, when you have both extensions, there are no points down here if white plays. So you're basically just playing an extra move for almost no gain at all. And that's huge for me because I get this extension here, which it doesn't solidify my side. There's still invasions that I don't want to deal with, but it puts me, like, my shape well ahead of black at this point. So he does that, which is fine. I'm going to do this just to expand my Moyo out. He does this. I'm going to jump up. He jumps up. I feel like my jumping just gets more better value at this point. I'm going to do this first because I want the solidified points here, and I don't know if he's going to connect or not. Right now, like, the best move might actually just be to invade me. Because the worst thing I can do is clamp, and you can, you know, like, it's not that bad. You lose a couple of points, but it's not that bad. So he takes, and the invasion right now is going to be much bigger, actually. So he does this. If you want to fix this, I would actually favor this, because then this Hane isn't Sente anymore. This Hane isn't Sente anymore. If I do this, this Hane is still Sente. So I'm going to just connect this so you can't actually invade down there. But realistically, at this point, like, something like this is probably bigger. Or possibly, like, this is probably way bigger. Because, like, I don't want to get forced over here. So I chose to solidify the side here, but that's definitely not the best move right now. He does that, which is okay. But here's my thinking right now. Like, yes, this you do have points here, but like, if I can get all of this side, I'm going to win. So I don't mind I really don't mind going underneath and just getting all the territory on the side. And since I'm like one peg lower, it's actually harder for you to invade here. So I do this. I'm going to just connect the bottom here. I am more than happy to connect the bottom with him. There's still invasions here, obviously, because like the spacing is a little too big. But I'm going to go ahead and do this to force his Moyo to be a little smaller. Once again, I'm going to go under, because if he does this, then I break into his Moyo, and I'm pretty sure he doesn't actually want. That. So I know I can take these little advantages first. And of course, I still have this clamp here. So he owes me a move there. That is... See, like, it's not a bad move. It's not actually a bad move, but it's not a very efficient one. Because, I can do this, but if you actually look at the board right now, like, this move is going to be bigger, because this move threatens this invasion down here, and plus, like, it flattens out my Moyo over here. So this is where I would go. This is definitely where I would go. Whereas this doesn't really threaten me. And there's so many holes in this Moyo. And plus, now if I get to do this, it basically makes me stronger. But besides making me stronger, here, it also increases my Moyo here and just makes this whole shape a lot better. So here you got to think about like the potential value. Like the value of this is going to be greater than the value of this, because I'm not going to be able to threaten your 3 stones. There's pretty much no way I can kill them. And B, like, this move is pretty critical for both sides. So I go up here. I mean, I know you're trying to seal these points, but you have to like ask yourself, like, how much am I really going to get for these? Because he could do this, and this would be flattening out my territory here, and also increasing his territory by a bit. Yes, there is this move, but realistically, like, how many points are in here anyways? Even if you do this, realistically, how many points are in here anyways? Not that many. Honestly, I can say not that many, because if I do this, you kind of like just do this, right? And there's not that many extra points that you gained by doing this instead of like coming over here. But look at the difference in my shape. My shape is like so much bigger now since you traded those moves. So obviously, like, that's not a good move. I mean, I'm going to do this first, but I'm going to do this first because it is kind of big. And realistically, like, neither of these moves may have been that important. This move might have just been like way bigger, because it's Sente for him. I would actually have to do this. And after I do that, then you can do this. That's the correct sequence for this for these moves. That's definitely the correct sequence for these moves. But you do this. I'm going to do this. This you really, really shouldn't answer. See, he just lost 6 points when he answered that, because I can't kill you, and this is I just did this because this is a big move. It does decrease his territory, and it gains me a couple points here. So this is actually a pretty big move, and it's a very nice shape building move. It's not this move I didn't make to actually threaten him, because if you really calculated this out, like, I mean, I can't kill him. I mean, this isn't really much of a threat. I can't kill him. So it's like he loses another move here. So that's why he's falling behind more and more. And then I'd come out over here, obviously, to decrease his shape. And I think, like, in this game specifically, he basically got way too obsessed with, like, trying to enclose this territory, which, honestly, if you count it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, there's like 12 points, and he spent like 4 or 5 moves getting the 12 points in mid-game, which is definitely not worth it. So I'm going to go down here. He doesn't actually have to answer this. First of all, like, that stone really just isn't that big. Coming out here, or basically trying to invade down here at this point, is maybe the best thing, because I can't block that way. Otherwise, you can do something like this. So like I would have to do this, and maybe you can actually get something going over here. I'm not exactly sure if you can or not, but maybe you can actually get something going down there. So yeah, to me, this is worth it, because like it builds up my Moyo here and can get me more points. But answering this is definitely not worth it. And the problem is, this is Gote. And because it's Gote, I get this move in the end, which basically, like, yes, I sacrifice like a point or a couple points down there, but I get all of this. So once again, like, that trade is good for me and not for him. This is like this isn't really that big. There's very few points for black, and there's honestly not that much he can do. Like let's just say I just fix this for sure, right? And he kind of goes in here. I mean, he can't really break my territory any, and there's not much territory for him to gain here either. So this is not really that worth that much of a move. And if he does another move to do this, then he's getting a couple points here for the price of 2 moves. And like, 3 or 4 points, like 2 or 3 points per move in terms of value right now is definitely not worth it. So I'm going to go here, which is going to be bigger than this. And then Atari, and then I'm just going to leave this alone. I'm going to take all the Sentes right now that I can find. That's obviously a mistake. You should do this because there's a tiger's mouth up here, so that doesn't work. I'm going to take all the Sentes I can right now because if it's Sente, I get my move back. I'm just a couple points better off than what I was before. So that's obviously very big. It doesn't really threaten this group, but it's pretty big. That doesn't really make any sense. You probably would just leave that alone. If I were him at this point, because I know I'm losing, I would definitely try to invade down here. Because that is like legitimately the only way you're going to have any chance of winning at this point. I would definitely try to invade down there. Right now, like this territory is not really solidified. So the thing is, like, you have to be. The other thing about like Q players is like it's kind of like the board situation and awareness. If you're behind, you have to play more aggressive. If you're ahead, you can basically just try to play equal, because at some point in the game you have to count like about how many points you think you have and the opponent thinks you think the opponent has. If you gauge that you're ahead, you can actually like just try to like play even or less aggressive. But if you're behind, you have to play like way more aggressive. And yeah, if he was ahead, he wouldn't have to invade down here because that risks like me capturing a group and him losing even more points. But since he's like 25 points behind, he kind of has to do that at this point to have a chance of winning. So that's just like gauging like priorities. It goes down there. Yeah, that move doesn't make any sense. Like you would either, like you lead this alone right now. But if you wanted to play, you play here. Because giving me this free move, it doesn't make any sense. I do this, and I'm just gonna go down here and just fix like my territory down here so he can't invade at all. That's really not worth anything because there's just not much territory here. So he does that. I'm gonna do the Sente. I'm actually gonna Hane and do the Sente move first. There's obviously a Sente move there. He has to connect to actually get that move. So he does that, which I'm very welcoming for him to do this, because even if he gets a couple of points here, like this basically just solidifies this territory. There is the possibility of like an invasion like this because I have to connect up here. But at this point, like I don't think you can actually live down here. I welcome this because that basically solidifies this entire side, and he essentially has like no other tricks to actually win right now, because like that was the only chance for him to catch up to actually invade on this side while it wasn't completely solidified. Now it's completely solidified. There's really very little way for him to actually win right now. And this is just making me more solidified. So the thing is, you don't want to make your opponent more solidified if you're not gaining anything. And he's not really gaining anything. Like the few points up here really aren't worth it unless it's a really close game and you just need like 2 or 3 points up here. Because there's like I can still push and do a lot of other things. I can definitely push and do a lot of other things that it just wouldn't make sense for him right now to do this, because a lot of people a lot of times like the AI will do this to actually build. A lot of times the AI will actually do this to build influence, but the influence is kind of useless right now because there's just not much to be gained from the influence. So doing this right now actually helps me just like secure my win. Yeah, like doing this just helps me secure my win. And now like this wouldn't work because I can just connect and there's really no way you can live. Yeah, and that basically further solidifies it. So you see like how that went from like plus 29 to plus 37. He basically solidified all my points without getting too much for himself. Like if all the space down here was open, that would be different. But it's pretty much all closed and taken, so there's not much value to be gained from this. So before you do like certain forcing moves, you have to really like gauge like what do I actually gain from this. If you don't gain too many points from it, don't do it because it's just not useful. That like even if I were to do this, I'd be okay with it just because of what I gain from it. But I knew that since I had the tiger's mouth down here, it doesn't really matter. So I do this. It's going to do that, curl, and then do this. He didn't have to fix that right now. There's really, yeah, I don't think there's anything I can do right now. So like if let's say he did this. I don't think there's really anything. Yeah, there's really nothing here. So he doesn't have to fix that right now. So that's basically a waste of another move because that's basically a waste of another move. Because I don't have to answer it, and like I said, there's still this. Like there's really no points in here unless he adds one or two moves. There's really no points in here, and this is just going to be way bigger over here. So with that, I do this first. I'm pretty sure I should have just done this right now, but I do this first, solidify my territory. It's pretty big, I guess. He does that. I'm okay with that. There's no point in answer. Well, I guess there is a little bit of point, but it's not really that big because you have like so much extra over here. Like this is so much bigger right now. Because like this is like solid side points. It's very tenuous how much this is actually worth. Because if I jump up, this is maybe 2 or 3 points, maybe 4 points, but this is going to be more. So like you do have to learn how to count points in the end. So I'm going to jump up. That was also a mistake by me. I should have just done this right away. I'm going to jump up. Realistically, at this point, I wasn't paying too much attention because I knew that I was going to win regardless. I connect. He does that. And the thing is, like, when you do this and you connect, it's also gote. So that gives me another free move. So, like, the thing is, like, when you do this, you're not gaining much. And you need to keep your sente. Now it's gote, so you essentially, like, lost a move for not too much value. So I'm going to immediately do this. And obviously you can't do that. You have to like connect. You have to actually, you can just ignore me on this one. You either play like this, or you just ignore me. So you can play like that, or you just completely ignore me. You can't do that, obviously. I'm gonna do that. He does that. So even without the mistake right there, I was up by about 47, and I was only up by about 30. Maybe going into the end game. So he lost 17 points in the end game even without that mistake. So yeah, that's like playing the end game well is a full rank and a half, at least a full rank and a half, 2 ranks for your improvement if you just get better at the end game, because that'll actually like let you beat a lot of opponents. Even if you don't get better at anything else. I'm gonna take that. This doesn't really matter. I'm gonna charge first and then take that. He connects. Adjacente. So the thing is, this is the way to actually get the most points. But this is gote right now. And I wanted to keep the sente. So that's why I actually played the lower move. Because he can do this, but now I get the move back and it's sente. I actually don't really know what's biggest right now. I probably should have just like went ahead and done this or something. I honestly should have just done that or something. This isn't really all that big. I mean, the way he played it, it is a little bigger. Like as soon as he moves here, I think I get a little bit of advantage. I think I should have just maybe done this, because he does actually have to go this way, because if he Atari's here and I can just Atari here and go this way. Well, no, I can't. I can Atari here and do this, and he might get a few points here, but then he's going to lose a lot of points here. So I should have just done this first, but because that gives me a couple points definitely. So I come up here. That's another wasted move because that doesn't get you anything. I'm not threatening anything here. You're already connected. So before, like, you have to think, what do I get from this move? I don't really get anything because I don't really get anything because nothing's actually under threat, and this is not worth any points. So like here, you would definitely either like play this, or just go somewhere else. So yeah, that loses like 5 points because you just wasted another move there. Goes over here. Uh, that's fine. I do this. He's going to have to do that. I don't have to connect that right now. I should have just went elsewhere. And if it was a really close game, I'd definitely take something like this first. Because there's really no Aji down here right now. So I'm going to connect that. He does that. I'm going to connect this. You know, like, that's fine. These are just all like, these are all just basically Sente moves. That's not, but at this point, that's okay. So he connects. And then I'm going to do that. There's a couple points there. I think this is bigger right now. I didn't count exactly, but I'm pretty sure that's bigger right now. He does that. And I finally take one of the pushes. The sequencing here is pretty important because which way you Atari is, I guess for right now, it's not really that important. I think it's a little bit better this way, but it doesn't really matter. And then I'm gonna connect the bottom just to make the shape look better. But realistically, I think this is the biggest move pretty easily. That's probably the most optimal move. So I'm gonna connect the bottom. He does that. This is also not great because it lets me Hane here. So what you want to do is you want to do this. That secures all the points in here, and it doesn't let me get any points. I'm going to do that first. He does not need to do that because that's like half a point, 1 point. He definitely should do this first because I would actually be forced to answer. And then I don't really know what you would do then. Maybe something like this? Yeah, probably something like that. Or no. You do this first, and then you would take this. I would block, and then you do this. I feel that's a much better closing sequence, and that's probably a difference of like 1 or 2 points. So if you're in a really close game with 1 or 2 points, that would actually decide the game. Either way, that's not a good move. It's like 1 point. I basically connect. He does this. I'm going to go here. He does this. I'm going to do that. He connects. See, the thing is, like, so like I've noticed a lot about these about lower Q games when I play them. When on ending moves, whenever I play a move, you guys like always answer. That's not how the ending's supposed to be played at a higher level. If you always answer wherever I go, like if you always answer wherever I go, you're going to lose like 20, 30 points in the ending, even in a close game. So when I go somewhere, you have to like think about, do I have to answer this? Is it critical? How many points is it worth? If it's not critical and it's not worth that many points, and there's a bigger move on the board, you take that bigger move. That's how I look at the ending right now. And that's how most higher ranked players look at the ending. Like if I play my dad, he will beat me in the ending because he's better at analyzing which moves are critical or not. If I play the AI, it's always going to beat me in the ending because it's way better at analyzing which moves are critical or not. I feel like in the lower, I mean, like DDKs aren't quite up to that level yet because they make a lot of game-ending mistakes mid-game that just essentially end the game. But like SDK, like lower rank SDKs, sometimes they'll play me like decently close up until like you get to like mid-game ending, and then like they either just give me a lot of Sentes or like during the ending, they just basically immediately react to whichever move I make, even if it's not necessary. And that way they'll lose like 20, 30 points. And that's how a lot of times I'll win. Close. I mean, these are just closing moves, so it doesn't really matter. Yeah, so I ended up winning by 71. Even without this, I'd end up winning by like 50 something. And I was only up by about 30 when the end game kind of started. So you lost about 25 points in the end game. And like I said, that's 2.5 stones worth of improvement. So like, just take the tip, like, and analyze the end game a little bit more. Like, realize, like, do I have to actually answer this move? If I don't have to actually answer this move, is there another bigger move? And more importantly, is there another small move that's absolutely Sente for me? Like this Hane over here, right? If he plays a move that it's not critical for you to answer, you play this Hane here first because he has to answer, and then it's still your turn afterwards, and you just gain 2 points. You're 2 points better than what you were. If you do like 3 of those, you're now 6 or 7 points better than what you were. And I'm sure all of you have had games that are determined by less than that. So that's kind of the lesson for today. Hope you learned something, especially about the end game and about like moving more efficiently and being careful about like trading, like having that mindset of like you're always trading moves with your opponent and the territory that you gain per move. has to be greater than the territory your opponent gains per move. So that's today's lesson. Like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I will see you guys later.